Hey, thanks for spending a little time with me today. I want to talk about something that sounds obvious, but quietly changes people's lives. Most of us don't have a money problem. We have a plan problem. The plan we follow by default is simple: earn, spend, hope. You don't choose it. It just happens because life is busy, and there's always something more urgent than sitting down with your bank app and making a few decisions. But here's the truth. The default plan produces the default result. If you keep doing what the average person does, you'll keep getting what the average person gets. Not because you're lazy or undisciplined, but because you're human. The game is designed to push you into the path of least resistance. My goal today is to hand you a different path that doesn't require perfection, hustle culture, or living on rice and beans. It just requires a few small moves that compound while you get on with your life. Let's start with how money actually shows up in a normal week. You get paid. It hits your account. You breathe for maybe 5 seconds, and then the outflows begin. Subscriptions you forgot to cancel. A grocery run that somehow turns into a mini home renovation. A friend texts about dinner. Your car needs something. Again. And if you're like most people, you tell yourself you'll figure it out next month. You won't. Not because you don't care, but because next month has the same gravity as this month. So instead of fighting gravity every month, let's bend it a little. The way you do that is by creating small, automatic advantages that sit there and do their job whether you feel motivated or not. Here's the mind shift that makes everything else easier. Your money should be boring so that your life can be exciting. When people get this backwards, when their money life is exciting, their actual life becomes stressful. They're constantly checking, timing, guessing, chasing, comparing. Boring money is steady. It shows up on schedule. It removes decisions instead of adding them. And when the financial part of your life is steady, you have far more energy for everything else. Your people, your health, the work you care about, the projects you want to try. Now, how do you get there without becoming a spreadsheet person? You don't need a spreadsheet. You need a few rules you can live with. The first rule is to protect yourself from leaks. Everyone has leaks. I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff like impulse buys. I'm talking about silent costs that continue even when you're not paying attention. The easiest way to find them is to open your last month of transactions and just scroll. You're not judging yourself. You're looking for patterns. I like to ask one question. If I stopped this, would my life get worse in any meaningful way? If the answer is no, it's a candidate to go. If the answer is maybe, give it a 1-month pause and see if you miss it. Most of the time you won't. You'd be surprised how many $10 and $20 decisions don't matter to your happiness at all. But together, they matter a lot to your stress levels. The second rule is to fix the expensive stuff before doing anything fancy. There's a kind of error I see all the time where people try to find the absolute best place to put $1 while ignoring the hole in the bucket. You don't need to be an expert to know that paying $1 to stop a daily leak is usually better than trying to grow that dollar somewhere else. Think of it like spring cleaning. Before you start buying new shelves, take out the trash. The simplest approach is to list any balances or bills that feel heavy. Decide which one is hurting you the most, and then set an automatic extra payment against that one thing. The automation is key. If you have to decide every month, you will sometimes decide, not this month. If it happens automatically, your decision is made once and your future self reaps the benefit. The third rule is to make saving and investing as invisible as possible. People overrate discipline and underrate design. If your design makes you choose between do the right thing and do the easy thing, you will eventually choose easy. So make the right thing easy. The way you do that is to move your target number out of sight before you can spend it. You'll adapt to what's left, because we always do. You adapted to your current paycheck. You adapted to your last one. You'll adapt to a version of today with a little less spending and a lot more progress. This is the part people underestimate. Once your automatic transfers are set, progress happens in the background. When you check in 3 months later, it's not a surprise. It's math. The fourth rule is to design spending for your life, not for strangers on the internet. There's this subtle pressure to perform success. The fancy restaurant, the upgrade, the new thing that solves a problem you didn't have until you saw a video about it. I'm not against buying nice things. I'm for buying what you actually use and care about. If you love coffee, upgrade your coffee. If you travel to see family, make it comfortable. If working out keeps you sane, spend there and never apologize for it. The trick is to build your budget around your values instead of around other people's highlights. When you do that, cutting the rest doesn't feel like deprivation. It feels like alignment. Now let's talk about income, because at some point you will hit a ceiling on cutting, and you'll need to raise the ceiling. People think increasing income requires a giant leap, a brand new career, a big risk, some huge bet. Sometimes that's true, but most of the time your next raise is closer than it looks. It lives in your ability to make a case at work with a calm, specific story about results. It lives in a side project you test for an hour or two a week. It lives in cleaning up your LinkedIn and asking 3 people you've worked with for short testimonials. It lives in applying to roles you're 70% qualified for instead of waiting to be a perfect fit. The question to ask isn't, how do I double my income? The question is, what's the smallest sustainable way to nudge it up over the next 3 to 6 months? Small and sustainable wins. They stack. I also want to address the emotional side, because money is rarely just numbers. Have you ever noticed how your spending spikes when you're exhausted? Or how you avoid looking at your statements when you're stressed? That's not a character flaw. That's your brain doing what it does under pressure. So build guardrails for the moments when you know your judgment is weak. Here are a few that help a lot of people. Keep a 24-hour rule for any purchase above a certain amount. Keep your fun money in a separate checking account so you don't even have to think about whether you're dipping into rent. Schedule a 20-minute money check-in on the same day every month and treat it like brushing your teeth. Boring, painless, and non-negotiable. If you miss one, you don't spiral. You just do the next one. Another helpful frame: don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You know the full cost of your own life, the errands, the late nights, the little repairs, and you only see the edited version of everyone else's. Nothing burns cash faster than trying to impress people whose opinions you wouldn't ask for if you were having a bad day. Keep your circle small and your goals personal. If your version of success is more freedom and less anxiety, great. If it's travel and time with your kids, great. If it's finally starting the thing that's been in your notes app for years, great. You design it. Your money is just the tool. Let me share a simple story, because stories stick. A friend of mine, smart, thoughtful, not a finance person, was always stressed about money. Not broke, just stressed. She felt like she was working harder every year and not getting anywhere. We sat down, looked at her accounts, and she made 3 changes. First, she canceled a few things she truly didn't use. It took 15 minutes. Second, she set one small automatic transfer into a separate account as soon as her paycheck arrived. Third, she called her internet company, used the magic phrase, "I'm shopping around," and got a lower rate in 5 minutes. Nothing extreme. 3 months later, she texted me that her balance was finally moving in the right direction, and, more importantly, that her shoulders felt lighter. That's the real payoff. Not the number on a screen, the feeling in your body when you realize you're no longer running in place. There's a concept I like to use when I'm feeling impatient: amplitude versus frequency. Most people swing for amplitude, the big win, the dramatic transformation, and then they burn out when it doesn't happen fast. The better bet in money, and in fitness, and in almost everything is frequency. Show up consistently with small actions you can actually repeat. If you can only do it on your best day, you won't do it. If you can do it on a tired Tuesday, you will. Design tired Tuesday moves: a 5-minute bill check, a preset transfer, a rule like, I never make a purchase on the same day I discover it. That's how you build a floor beneath your life. From that floor, everything feels easier. Let's talk about goals. Big numbers are inspiring until they're paralyzing. $1 million sounds great, but it's a terrible daily goal. A good daily goal is embarrassingly small. Move $20. Send 1 networking email. Apply to 1 role. Walk past the store. When you make the goal tiny, you give yourself no reason to skip it. And when you stack tiny wins, you build momentum, and momentum is what carries you through the weeks when you're not feeling it. There's a line I repeat to myself a lot: easy to start, impossible to stop. That's how you want your systems to feel. If they're easy to start, they'll happen. If they're impossible to stop, they'll keep compounding. Another area people overcomplicate is investing. People think they need to predict, time, or outsmart. You don't. You need to contribute regularly to something simple and broadly diversified, and then you need to leave it alone. If you want an outlet for your curiosity, start a tiny, fun money account where you can test ideas. Keep it small enough that if it goes to zero, your life doesn't change. That way, you can satisfy the part of your brain that wants to tinker without risking the part of your life that needs to be stable. The core stays boring. The edge gets the experiments. That split keeps you sane. I also want you to notice how much easier money gets when you remove shame from the process. Shame makes you hide. When you hide, you don't fix. If today isn't what you want it to be, that's fine. The question isn't, why didn't I start earlier? The question is, what's the smallest step I'm willing to take now? People change faster than they think once they drop the story that they should already be further ahead. You're here, you're listening. That's a step. Take the next one. Okay, let's put this into a 1-week plan. It won't solve everything. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to give you momentum and a feeling of control. Day 1, open your accounts and list the top 3 things that feel heavy or useless. Cancel or reduce one of them today. Don't overthink it. Day 2, set a small automatic transfer to a separate account as soon as your paycheck hits. Make it small enough that you won't miss it. If you're not sure what number to pick the smallest number that feels unserious, and then double it. Day 3, call one company and negotiate. If you hate the phone, open a chat window and say you're shopping around. Day 4, write a 2-sentence script for a raise conversation that focuses on results you've delivered. Email yourself the script so you can't forget it. Day 5, set a 24-hour rule in your phone for any purchase above a number you choose. Put it in notes. Day 6, clean up one small corner of your space that's been bothering you. Clutter makes you feel behind. Clear it, and you'll make better decisions. Day 7, take a walk without your phone and think about what you want your money to do for you over the next year. 1 sentence, not a manifesto. Save that sentence. Read it once a week. You've just designed a new default week. Repeat it next week with tiny upgrades. Here's what happens if you treat this as your new normal. Your debt gets lighter, your stress gets lower, and your savings and investments start showing a shape. Not because you became a different person overnight, but because you stopped making everything a decision and started making it a design. The average plan relies on willpower. Your plan relies on systems. The average plan waits for motivation. Your plan runs whether you're motivated or not. The average plan is loud. Lots of activity, lots of stress, not much progress. Your plan is quiet, and that's the point. Quiet wins don't look exciting on social media, but they feel incredible in your real life. Before we wrap, I want to leave you with a simple checklist you can keep in your head. Protect the downside, kill the leaks and the heavy costs first. Automate the good stuff. Move money before you can spend it. Keep the core boring. Invest simply and consistently. Spend on what you actually use and love. Cut the rest without guilt. Nudge your income. Small, sustainable steps. Repeated. And manage your energy. Tiny habits you can do on a tired Tuesday. If you just do those 6 things at a good enough level, you'll be shocked how fast your trajectory changes. If this resonated with you, don't try to do all of it today. Pick the easiest win and do it now. Send 1 email, cancel 1 thing, set 1 transfer. The distance between I know what to do and I'm the kind of person who does it is usually 1 tiny action. Take that action and let it carry you to the next one. Thanks for listening. Go win a small, boring battle today and let it compound.